I want to come to you, Siddharth, on something because, given a slight nervousness in the markets, but largely the budget has been priced in. So unless and until there's some kind of fillip to growth, there's no real particular downside as far as, Nirmala really disappoints. I mean, if she absolutely does nothing, not even any kind of surface level consumer-led incentives or something, that's really when we'll see the markets nosedive. But otherwise, I see a limited downside. What do you think?
About three factors to remember. Yeah. One, the Goldilocks movement that the Indian economy is going through, and our guests here would comment on that, but since we are focusing on the markets for the next few minutes, let me try and respond to that question that you made. Is there scope, necessity for tinkering around with further as far as our indirect tax architecture is concerned? Of course there is, but where will that happen? Outside of the budget. Is there necessity to look at further direct tax changes? Well, there could always be at the margins changing this, changing that. But remember, we are now in an environment where the government of India, the finance ministry, wants everyone to move to the new tax regime. No exemptions, lower thresholds of taxes to pay. And therefore, that is a policy direction that will continue. Therefore, what is left? It is customs tariffs. Now, customs tariffs used to take a lot of time in the budget speech. Dr. Baru would recall that it sometimes used to be 20, 30 minutes plus, including the days of Pranab Mukherjee as the finance minister. He brought that back when he came back to the finance ministry 2009 onwards. So effectively, the scope to tinker around with taxes and tariffs is limited to that extent. So what does it leave with? A statement of medium-term priorities, because remember, one of the criticisms of our budget making process is you announce something on 1st February. By the time the first policy architecture is made, half of the next fiscal year is gone. And that is why implementation becomes an issue, and outcome budgets were supposed to fix that for us. So I would say, don't surprise anyone negatively. Continue down the path of fiscal consolidation and solid, factual, credible numbers.
Go ahead, please.
Let me just mark the markets. Nifty Metals Index, Sakshi, is now down 4.5%. This comes after Friday's loss of 5.2%. In the red are the PSU Banking Index, 1.35% lower. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is very heavy profit booking, nothing much to be worried about. We had seen a very sharp rally in the metal prices as also in PSU Bank. So money is moving from the book into the bank. Small cap index is down 1.2%. And it's a very light start to the market, Siddharth. 1,057 shares in the green, 1,200 in the red. The market is light. It could pivot if there is something interesting on the tax side.
Well, we have seen pivots in the past that used to happen when Part B would start. But Chetan Bhutani, who tracks infrastructure for us, standing by at Vijay Chowk. Chetan, very quickly, give us a sense of what the continuing focus for capital expenditure will be. Will it be in-line trend with what we have seen over the past few years, especially post-COVID, or should we expect a major change?
So that we would be seeing a normal minimal hike that has been continuing for the past 3 to 4 years. Nirmala Sitharaman knows that the infrastructure ministries are very capable of spending their money, and they have been spending quite regularly, and so they don't have much of the budget revenue left. So now we will expect normal 3 to 4% allocation for both roads and railways coming up. Not much highway spending would be done because the ministry is itself managing its own expenses, raising money from the markets, getting its highways listed and monetized. So these strategies have worked, and in case the ministry will not be taking too much money from the budget, but a significant 3 to 5% allocation for highways, 3 to 5% for railways, and port, shipping, waterways, telecom sector would see the minimal hike going forward. Secondly, Siddharth, what we know is, of course, the MSME sector. The government would be focusing on MSMEs and agriculture, with the government probably giving a very big announcement for the agriculture sector and in the name of the PM Kusum scheme and its subsequent continuation.
Absolutely. Dr. Baru, very quickly, deregulation is something that is echoing across the world. We have had a deregulation task force. Some policy changes have already happened, and Rajdeep and I both heard Chandrababu Naidu Garu in Davos tell us that it should no longer be about ease of doing business, it should also be about speed of doing business. Is deregulation likely to be a focus, and what would its merit be if at all it were to be announced today?
Well, clearly it has to be. You know, you spoke about Goldilocks moment, and this has become a popular phrase. I've never understood what exactly it means, because what we have, if you see the overall economic situation, is a fairly good record on fiscal stabilization. But demand has not been picking up. Demand continues to constrain capacity utilization, which is below 80% across the manufacturing sector. Private capital, has not been forthcoming. There's been a stagnant share of private capital formation to GDP. So what we really need is to trigger the animal spirits. I mean, Nirmala Sitharaman herself asked a year ago of Indian business, why are you guys not investing? And I think the answer lies with the government.
That's absolutely right, sir. In fact, Sakshi, just come in on the defense theme, because defense is one of the themes. And this question that Dr. Baru raised, we have put it across to policymakers and to industry. And they say, listen, don't always expect investments to come in mature sectors. Look at new age sectors which are seeing investment. Explain this point of view from the defense pack on the screen. Sakshi Batra.
Today, defense sector is up by about 0.5%. So looking at it, there is a high expectation that there could be a higher allocation. Remember, this is the first budget after Operation Sindoor. So that's why this is going to be extremely important. We have been seeing a slew of announcements where the Defense Acquisition Council has been announcing massive orders over the last 6 months. This time around, again, there is an expectation. How much could that defense outlay increase by is the question. Will it be 10% all the way to 25% as well? That's the broad range that most of the experts are expecting. What it comes out to be finally is something that we will have to watch out for in the speech. But definitely, defense is going to be a talking point in the budget this time around. There will be a higher allocation in the budget, that the government will be doing. That's for sure. What is the percentage outlay? Plus, I think, Siddharth, the big question is, given the, lower headroom that we have shortfall of tax collections here. How much fiscal room is there to really elevate the defense spending is the key question. Will there be a way where the finance minister will be able to raise the non-tax revenues and be able to spend big on defense? Looking at the geopolitical scenario is something that we need to watch out for. It's a complete changed world order.